Hello and a very warm welcome from ET Studios, ET HR World and HCL. I'm Devina Lasson and today we're here to deep dive into the topic of focus, flow, flourish, mastering the art of productivity. To discuss this and understand the future of learning and work, we have with us today a very esteemed panel of experts. Do join me in warmly welcoming our guest today, Saswati Sinha, Head of HR India and EMEA eValueServe, Sameer Wadhwan, CHRO Samsung Electronics, and Pallav Chatterjee, Associate Vice President and Business Unit Head, Nippon HCL Tech. Welcome, panelists. Thank you for joining us today. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here on ET Studios.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much
Thank
for
you.
having us
Pleasure.
here.
Yes, thank you. So, we're here today to talk about mastering the art of productivity. And at the onset, I'd love to ask each of you for your input on how you really approach in your organizations creating a balance between bringing out the most in your workforce, bringing out the potential, yet keeping the core values of the organization at the center. How would you approach that? Saswati, maybe we can start with you.
Sure. Ours is a service industry. We are into professional services, right? So it's a very challenging proposition even today, because 95% of the workforce is millennials and Gen Zs. They want empowerment, they want flexibility, they want to do work in their own terms, and at the same time, we have to ensure our clients are happy. We are giving value for money. We are ensuring that the quality is going up each day, each minute, each moment. It's a competitive world. So, what we have done is, of course, the first thing is hybrid. We are still in hybrid. 2 days in office is mandatory, rest is flexible, you can work from home. Second thing we have done is we have said that the 2 days you come to office, you need to collaborate. So we have tried to ensure that there are planned breakouts with the teams. We try to ensure that those 2 days we maximize the interaction between individual, because otherwise they're sitting in their own silos and working, so productivity dips. So I think some of these practices which we have done, and also a seat at the table. I think what eValue serves culturally says that we have an open door policy and we encourage people to speak up. One of our values is obligation to dissent. So you are obliged to dissent. So take up your hand and say that, hey, I think this is something we can do better. That helps. But I'll still say, Davina, it's a long process. It's a work in progress. We'll reach there, but we do face challenges on in pockets.
Absolutely. It's very interesting what you mentioned, how most of your workforce is Gen Z and millennials, and certainly there's a very different expectation level from these generations.
100%. They are, so millennials, again, there's a difference between millennials and Gen Zs
Yes,
also.
yes,
It's
yes,
not that they are
yes.
the same. I'm the Gen X. So I'm like more disciplined. I go 5 days to office. I like working in a structured framework. I like to measure output. What have I done the whole day? They don't. If one day they don't feel like working, then what? So that's when you need to motivate them, you need to empower them, you need to ensure they're finding it challenging enough, they get bored easily. So these are ongoing challenges, but some of the practices that we have put in has really helped. And our culture of open door policy, you can reach the leadership at any point of time. That helps a lot. We are not binding them, and hybrid, of course, helps.
Yes, absolutely. Wonderful. Samir, let's get you in on this. How do you foster this environment of personal development and productivity whilst keeping in mind the organization's goals?
For me, Davina, I think the culture of the organization is very critical. So the culture which innovates, the culture which allows open communication, the culture which allows a lot of collaboration, the culture which allows cross-functional working, the culture which is coaching and mentor oriented, the culture which is very problem or solution centric. I think that's the culture which helps people to realize their potential. Leadership role is to help an employee to find his purpose or what he enjoys doing and align it to the organizational objective. And leadership style plays a lot of role. That's where the coaching and mentoring comes in. And I think once that uh, alignment happens, I'll use this word alignment because we are in a very dynamic times, right? So you need to have this alignment not now annually, but I think you need to have it probably a weekly basis what's happening, right? So once that alignment happens, I think then comes I take the cue from the your topic of discussion, focus, flow, and flourish. So alignment brings in the focus. You know what you're doing and you're enjoying it. And the flow comes in through structure, and not only a structure, the organization structure. I'm not talking about programs, policies, processes to help you do the work. And that structure also allows you the flexibility. If it allows you that flexibility of mobility of ideas, talent, and execution, will lead you to flourish. So leadership's role is to work towards that culture where people flourish. So potential and productivity will both. Productivity will lead to the potential realization in this culture.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. And could you share some examples maybe of how you've really seen your workforce's productivity flourish? As you said, through coaching, through the leadership team, any examples you could share with us?
So we come down to from a all organizations go for their annual plans. So we have come down from annual plans to monthly plans to weekly plans. So you focus on what makes impact. Moment as an individual, you are able to see what makes an impact, you feel energized, right? You are able to connect what you are doing to the organization objective, you feel enthused to do more. And then we also worked on empowering our managers by using managers as coaches program where all our managers were trained to how to be coach. So having that communication, that dialogue with the employee, and having that position of a coaching is very important. And finally, not everybody, in fact, majority of the people won't end up into a jobs which they enjoy, right? So what you do then as a manager, you need to create avenues where you give them some time to do what they enjoy doing. So things like special interest groups, learning groups, cross-functional working task forces. It helps them to really do in those additional time what they want to do, and in the process remain engaged.
Yes.
So that's the
Sure.
balance you need to strike
Yeah,
with
yeah.
the work and with the engagement, so
Wonderful.
that you are happy with what
Yes,
you're doing.
yes, yes. Wonderful. Palav, let's get you in on this.
I will typically give a digital worker or a technology kind of a color to this. Uh, Now, what's we need to really kind of step back and think that what is happening in the industry today, and especially with people. Uh, with COVID, a lot of things have changed. The way we define work has changed. Uh, there is a rise of digital workers, so to say, with all of the next generation exponential technologies coming in. Lot of classic brick and mortar job roles are also converting into kind of a digital work role. So, with all of this, where does an organization or an organization leader stand? Uh, there are few distinct, I would say, challenges which exist with this, which needs to somehow organizations need to put their arms around and solve. Uh, One of those is for classic brick and mortar, it is easy to have some sort of an observability of workforce. But the moment you're talking about digital workers, how do you build that observability of your workforce? What are they doing? How much impact that they're creating? Are you really having your organization structure really rightly shaped and rightly staffed so that you are getting the max efficiency in your organization? Then, of course, like as Samir said, how do you inculcate that culture of coaching, especially when people are not face to face, they're not physically in front of each other? How do you inculcate that culture of collaboration and coaching in your organization? So, to me, workforce productivity is more like a umbrella term covering all of this. And of course, with all of these challenges, the silver lining is technology is there to help you. So, with technology and all of the varieties of tools which are available today in the market, what you can really do is to uh, create a create a structure of really kind of solving all of these problems. At HCL Tech, we embarked on a journey of defining workforce productivity sometimes back. sometimes around 2016, 2017, when we started this initiative called Nippon in our organization, which is an attempt to measure productivity, define it, and start kind of building that observability around workforce productivity in our organization. And over the course of time, of course, then COVID happened. Then, therefore, we had a natural accident which happened, which led to some sort of a before and after kind of a scenario available to us to really kind of compare that what has changed and what has shifted in the market. And all of these issues, therefore, we got a lot of insights around how to really kind of navigate all of these changes, big shifts which are happening in the workforce today.
Yes, absolutely. So, honing in on your point to technology being really vital in ensuring productivity, can you give us some examples, some of the tools you've been leveraging, but also how you really integrate it into the ethos of the organization to ensure cohesiveness across the board?
Uh, I'll give a very mundane and a very simple example. At one of our teams, they did an experiment. It's a large team, almost about 100 people in the team. They did a quick experiment. Uh, they asked each individual in the team to ask three other colleagues that what they were doing at that point in time at three randomly different points in time during the day.
Okay.
This is a small experiment, dirty
Okay.
experiment, but a very
All right.
interesting one, because at the end of the day, 300 questions were asked and 300 answers were recorded. And the attempt was to really find out that out of those 300 answers, what proportions of responses that we get regarding certain activity or task that people are doing, which are not really core to the work that they do, which are probably essential but non-value adding, and some of them non-essential, non-value adding as well. You see, from a individual employee's work experience and satisfaction standpoint, everybody wants to really contribute and create that impact, right? So these non-value add, non-essential work, or certain what you call certain essentially these kind of non-essential activities create a drag on productivity. That experiment led us to find out certain startling things for that particular team. Was something like that they were spending almost like 30 to 40% of the day only in reporting and meetings, say, for example. So that led to that those pointers that what are the things that the team needs to optimize to create a better collaboration and better what you call productive environment for themselves. Now you replace that messaging with some sort of a technology which can automatically create that view for you, and which can help you to discover that what needs to be really eliminated from a non-value add perspective in the team. And if technology can help you provide that layer, that kind of visibility, it definitely can help you optimize and create a better work experience for everyone.
Absolutely, absolutely. And to our other two panelists as well, the role of Gen AI, ML, there's so much happening now in the world of tech. How is this impacting your processes when it comes to really managing the workforce and enhancing productivity?
So, Davina, I think Pallav raised a good point of technology. I think technology infusion during COVID and post COVID has really accelerated, and that has really helped us, I think, as an organization to be more efficient, more agile, and quicker. And it has empowered the front line, considering our operations are so huge. It has empowered the front line because now at the click of the button, you have access to the information and to your
Yes,
manager, right?
yes, yes, yes.
So there's a distinct difference you can see. Pre-COVID, we were all talking about only sales automation,
Right.
right?
Yes.
Only selling,
Yeah,
customer
yeah,
focused.
yeah.
Then COVID times, we realized the supply chains are broken. So we integrated supply chain. Then it went into different other functions. Now we're talking about employee experience, which is again a tech-driven experience where you are making employee more productive, easy to operate, easy to deal with, easy to work within the organization. I think this technology has helped. Plus the technology of communication, the communication tools which are being used. Pallav gave that example, I think. has helped, I think, to become managers. Today, the hybrid working means you have some people physically available and some people remotely working. How you connect with them, how you are able to communicate with them, how you are able to motivate them. I think that technology has helped. Another interesting follow that you raised the point about Gen Z and the millennials. I think a very interesting one is they don't talk about work-life balance. Because of technology, they started talking about work-life integration, right? Because flexi timing, flexi working, along with technology, has helped them to integrate their work into their lifestyle, right? So, you know, yes, that's a big difference. I was searching, as I was a youngster, I was searching for a balance. When I look at my kids, right? For them, waking up at 2 a.m. in the morning and doing some work and then going off to sleep at 4, it doesn't matter because it's a part of their life, right? They're working from home and they're flexible. So I think that paradigm has shifted from balance to integration, and technology is a great aid there, not only in enhancing productivity, but also I think managing overall a lifestyle.
Yes, fascinating. Absolutely. Saswati, let's get you in on this.
Well, let me give you some examples of eValueServe only. So before, and in fact, even before COVID, we have started to integrate technology into our services because I think the clients are demanding. We have all the marquee clients in the world. Clients are very demanding, and they had already started talking about how can technology facilitate more productivity for us, more value for us, etc. And everybody wants to be a pioneer. We already have an innovation team in house, which is a large team of 300 people. So what they do is they focus on the clients. We have, for example, we do secondary research also, right, for clients. So in secondary research, you have to crawl through thousands of secondary data. It can be research reports, it can be PDF files, it can be just the internet. So now we built a tool which will do it to you, Gen AI enabled, which will do it to you for maybe in a couple of hours. So then what the person spends the time in is value adding on that report rather than just crawling through it, taking 7 days to make that report. So I think it's a clear example of how then comes the fear. Will my role go away? Will my this thing go away? And that's where I think we are focusing on, that it hasn't gone away. We started, this tool was built 3 years back, 3.5 years back. It's integrated into client deliverables. No one's job has gone away. We don't believe in letting people go. We realign. We have a huge upskilling program, which is online, eValueServe University. We upskill, reskill, we redeploy. So I think the proof of the pudding are in some of these examples. If I look at HR, now building a chatbot is one of the, I think, smallest thing that people do these days. But we didn't have an in-house chatbot. So my BHR team came up and said, hey, our days, usual, this is a very normal, all our friends will tell you, it's a normal thing. They will come up and say, all our day, most of our day goes on unproductive work, like answering the same query or addressing the same concern. Can we do away with it? So we've worked with our in-house team. And again, this is initially at the starting of the technology upgradation, it might have been just a static chatbot, but now it is AI enabled. So the chatbot will lead you to certain base level, even counseling. The chatbot does that for that person, that, hey, this is the answer you are seeking, but do you want something more? Can I look for something more? Are you feeling okay? You ask this question about leave. Are you feeling okay? So this is something we built in-house. Now, when I look at my team, I say, hey, 40% of the work is now gone. So now, how will you fill that 40%? So then the next value chain, right? You are going up the value chain because technology, and you are real time listening to them. We have an AI enabled tool. Anybody is unhappy, they are plugging it in there. They're putting in their feedback there. It is monitored every day, real time. And then you do your interventions basis the feedback which is flowing in. So data is there for us now to look at how do we value add. The baseline, if I've given you quite a few examples, are taken care of. So I think technology is a huge blessing, which is helping us go up the value chain, which is so critical for our industry.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as you rightly say, I mean, the data is really at the heart of these processes. How do you approach security, privacy, just data control? What are some of the solutions that you
That
employ?
is the biggest thing for us.
Yeah.
Big BFSI sector, big banks are our clients. Big consulting firms are our clients, right? FMCG, manufacturing firms, the biggest of the biggest, marqueest of the industries, companies are our clients. If we don't keep the data security in place, that's where things will fall apart. We do have a huge infosec infrastructure in place. We have a CISO, which is the infosec security chief of infosec security, who has, because we build our products in house, so it is easier to take care of the security. We have our own hosting servers. Even if it is in cloud, we do ensure that it is secured. If people are working remotely, then there is a humongous process. People do complain about it, but there is a huge process of checks and balances through the infrastructure itself. You cannot get into the client network, or you cannot get into eValueServe network until unless you go through these 5 checkpoints. There are humongous exercises on phishing. If you click on any phishing email which the infosec team is sending, and it's like it's a rigorous exercise. If you click on it, you have to run hooplas to even get your machine back. So so it's there's so much of rigor around infosec. Sometimes we kind of say, because we have to go through 5 checks even to log in, we sometimes say, oh my god, my meeting time is going away, I'm just logging in. But I think it's very, very important. It's vital to our business. Without that, we can't function. So I think every step is being taken to ensure, and every tool, every infrastructure is designed around facilitating infosec and data security.
Yes, yes, absolutely. It's the need of the hour for every organization. Samir, to your point about work life integration and not balance, love to understand a little bit more about that. And also, given that this might be the premise, the new way of working, how do you also measure the gaps in productivity in that case? Are there any specific metrics, any specific tools that help you really assess the
I think
situation?
there is a shift which is happening as we are looking, the productivity is now being more looked at from the output perspective, right? What is the output you are giving? Now, whether you do it from home or you're from office or from both or from elsewhere, I think that concern of managing that is going away as long as I'm getting the output, right? So I think the shift is coming more towards not about what is the productivity gap in terms of how I can enhance the productivity. It's a positive shift, okay? How I can elevate technology, how I can bring more technology. That's one part of it. Second is a continuous learning to the employees in terms of their skill upgradation. I think the culture of continuous learning, that's very important, and that's where you know you need to have a plan how individually. So self-reflection is an important thing, which as a manager, as a coach, will lead you to think about it. That what is it you need to do to be more efficient, to be better in your job, and once you know that, be it skills, be it you know rounding off your soft skills, be it any other aspects that can be addressed. So while we are measuring productivity, but I think in a connected, technology-driven world, and you can work from anywhere, anytime, we are more output focused, right? So that's a beautiful shift, and I think that will bring lot more inclusive workforce. Lot many people who don't need to come to office or they cannot come to office, they can contribute to the output, right? So overall, it's a win-win. But I think as I said, the needle is shifting to output, not from productivity per se. The focus is more on productivity tools to enhance the output.
Yes, yes. So, Palav, if this is the scenario, which again it's holds true for most organizations, where you're really looking at the output and the efficacy of the output, how do you measure that? Are there any specific KPIs that you use? Are there any specific metrics?
In our experience, we have run a productivity initiative, as I said, at almost like it's now almost seventh year running. Uh, what we realize in the course of journey is that instead of chasing a mathematical elegance to productivity, it is better to have very simple definition of how we measure and how we define productivity and run it across. So it has to be a scalable process across in the organization on one hand, but then also it should work well across different cohorts, different variable natures of work archetypes which do exist in the organization. So, from that standpoint, very simple measure. What is the output per unit effort that we are getting for individuals and for teams and cut across different units in the organization? That to us is, in a way, a good metric to start with. Now, the way output is defined for different teams may be very different. For a sales team, say for example, it could be maybe number of deals, or maybe what is the sales volume or sales turnover which they have brought in, or probably for some other sales team the behavior that they want to inculcate in their team rather is to probably have more customer centric activities to be driven. So maybe the number of calls that they have made, or number of meetings that they have done, or whatever. Now we leave that judgment to that respective team to decide that what is the metric that they want to chase from an output standpoint, rather than being prescriptive about it. But then once that is defined, let that be consistent and uniform across all the team members within that team, and then compare that with the per unit effort that they are putting in. So that gives a good enough, fair enough measure of how to measure output. So in our organization, like as I said, that we have this technology platform called Nippon. What we do is all of this, from an output measurement perspective to effort measurement perspective, all of that is automated and integrated well. And therefore, at a CXO level, I get to see productivity comparisons cut by team, by different business units. Then I can even very well drill it down to the individual levels and identify that who are the people needing help.
Yes. Wonderful. Thank you for that example. Did you want to add something? You're...
No, I think it's an interesting one because if I look at the way the workplace has changed, and say, let's take for example of sales only, from a typical B2C or B2B sales, enterprise or retail sales. We are also talking about modern retail. We're talking about now online, right? So the productivity matrices or output matrices are very different. So I think you are seeing empowerment of the functional teams, in terms of an overall organization-wide output, where those financial parameters have not changed much. The revenue per employee, revenue, yeah, all those things remain same, right? But I think it's the empowerment down the line to the teams, depending upon what domains they are operating upon, physical, virtual, that's very interesting. And I think the accountability of output and productivity is going down, which is very important.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
And to add to another point, which Saswati mentioned about culture as well. So, from our experience, it is the manager who plays the key role. So, manager forms the bridge between the leadership and the workforce, so to say. So, how they behave, how they engage with the team down the line, and how they are coaching them, how they are interacting on the day to day basis, that really matters a lot. Now, uh, now if the managers are empowered with a well defined measure to, and of course data to really remove the subjectivity out and bring in some objective data based fact based method to interact and method to engage with the team members, that really helps.
Yes, yes, yes. Absolutely. The role of the management is key to bring the whole process together. Thank you so much, panelists. Before we wrap up, I would love to get just one key takeaway from each of you when it comes to guiding other HR leaders out there on how to really hone in mastering the art of productivity in their organization. One key takeaway. Saswati, let's start with you.
Okay, so I would say we have moved from just output, which determines productivity, to consistent and continuous output, because you have to go up the value chain, right? So you can measure that, okay, this is okay, but this may not be okay tomorrow. So the consistency, the continuity of the output, that is something which needs to be measured now. And of course, it is relative. Like Love said, you have to do the relative ranking also, who's doing better. That also gives you an idea. And then you can do this only when you facilitate it through technology. You cannot do it otherwise. So then you have data which you can relate to, and then you go up the value chain. I think that's very, very important.
Yes, absolutely. Wonderful. Samir?
For me, it's very simple. Be open and embrace the change. Because I think if you are open to that and you're embracing the change, rest of things will fall in place. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Palav?
For me, productivity may mean different things for different people. So I would recommend that go with a very simple definition. Do not chase great mathematical elegance to it, but then start somewhere. Start an initiative that helps you to objectively measure productivity and improve. Whatever can be measured will be improved nevertheless.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much. It's been a very enlightening and also very positive and inspiring conversation. Thank you so much for joining us on
Thank
ET
you.
Studios.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for
It's our
having us
pleasure.
here. Thank you.